I'm not going to be like other people. If aliens are real, we have a huge problem, biblical problem. What's up, y'all, man? It's Jonathan Owens for another episode of The Word Spoken. Today's episode, this is gonna be good. We're not gonna waste any time. We're gonna get right into this because I think it's important to show what the science have to say and the Bible, but not just that, to show why everybody is going crazy on these UFOs, UAPs, and I think they're missing the huge thing. How is it even possible scientifically? In addition, we already have kind of like the understanding, the Christian understanding, the biblical understanding of aliens not existing, if you take the biblical argument. But that leads me to the next point, because I'm not going to be like other people. If aliens are real, we have a huge problem, biblical problem. If aliens are real, I'm going to be looking at things totally different. But many Christians, they say, what's the problem? God could have created them too. I want to show you why that's an issue. But let's first look at the scientific reasoning. Let's take a look at an experiment that I was doing, and I might also ask it another question. We're going to see what the Gemini says about this. We're going to look at AI. We're going to see what does it say about this issue of how aliens could they have even gotten here by now. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you what I found out. So take a look at this. What is the question? It said, why the possibility of aliens reach Earth is improbable, as they would be still traveling if they were flying. So this is what it said. The idea that aliens should have reached us by now is often called the Fermi paradox. The sheer scale of the universe is the primary reason why many scientists find interstellar travel highly improbable for any civilization. Even if a civilization were technologically capable of building a starship, they would face three massive hard physics barriers. The fundamental problem is the speed of light, which is approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, as an object with mass approaches the speed of light, its mass becomes infinite, requiring infinite energy to move it. Proxima Centauri, one of our closest neighboring stars, is about 4.25 light years away. With our current fastest spacecraft, the Parker Solar Probe, which reaches about 0.06 of the speed of light, it will take roughly 6,500 years to get here. Even at a theoretical 10% light speed, which would require energy beyond our current capabilities, the trip would take 42 years. Moving a physical object across the vacuum of space isn't just about flying. It's about overcoming inertia, cosmic radiation. To accelerate a ship large enough to sustain life to even a fraction of light speed will require more energy than a planet can produce in a year. Furthermore, at those speeds, a collision with a pebble or a grain of space dust will impact the ship with the force of a nuclear bomb. Whew. It's not done. Space is not just a vast in distance, it is vast in time. This thing says the universe is about 13.8 billion years old. That's the scientific consensus. That's what they say. A civilization might have existed, mastered space travel, and gone extinct millions of years before humans ever walked Earth. If they started traveling from a distant galaxy like the Andromeda, 2.5 million light years away at the time of our earliest ancestors, they would still have been millions of years of travel left before reaching our solar system. Are you serious? So here it is, the Apollo 11 moon rocket, that 40,000, I guess, kilometers per hour, 115,000 years. Voyager 1, 61,000 kilometers. 75,000 years, 10% of the speed of light, 42 years. The verdict: unless a civilization finds a way to bypass space-time, like wormholes or warp drives, which are currently purely theoretical, any alien explorers would essentially be on a multi-generational journey, meaning the individuals who started the trip would be long dead before they ever arrived. you, you might say, why is that important? Well, that's important because if you have several people, let's say you've got little kids who may grow up and can take over the journey when the adults die, how do those little aliens, those little kids know how to even operate all that? And then you might say, which Gemini said in another prompt, oh, unless they find some way to put like an hypersleep or whatever, like movies do, which that's just purely theoretical, to go into some hypersleep for that long journey, then how would you better do it? Now, this is the scientific side. We always see these things coming and these ships and these aliens. It's like, oh, we see, because I know people now, they're gonna say, well, these ships, they're doing crazy maneuvers and doing crazy things. These ships are doing crazy things. Well, why would you think that just because they're doing that they can bypass time? Because a ship may do many things, but they can't bypass time. And then someone may say, well, they're doing these crazy things, they're advanced enough, but does that mean they can bypass time? Let's ask that question as well, and let's see. So let's see right here. I asked, if these machines are extremely advanced, can they bypass the issue of time? If an advanced alien civilization has bypassed the issue of time, they wouldn't be doing it by simply building a faster engine. They would have to find a loophole in the laws of physics to distort space-time itself. According to our current understanding of physics, there are three theoretical ways. Wormholes, which Einstein wrote in Bridge. Instead of traveling through space, a sufficiently advanced machine might fold it. A wormhole is a theoretical tunnel through space-time that connects two distance points. Warp drives. 1994, physicist Miguel Alcubierre proposed a theoretical model where a starship doesn't actually move through space at all. Instead, the ship is enclosed in a warp bubble. The machine would compress space-time in front of the ship and expand it behind the ship. That's crazy. Because space-time itself can expand or contract at any speed, even faster than light, the ship would ride this wave like a surfer. Yeah. Time dilation. If a civilization cannot bend space-time, they can still use Einstein's special relativity to bypass time, but only for themselves, not for the rest of the universe. As an object moves closer to the speed of light, time slows down for that object relative to a stationary observer. If a ship could travel 99.99% of the speed of light, a journey to a star 100 light years away would still take 100 years to the people watching from Earth. However, due to time dilation, only about 5 months would pass for the aliens inside the ship. So, let's look at this at the bottom. The biggest reasons physicists are skeptical about bypassing time is causality. The rule that cause must always come before effect. And relatively, breaking the speed of light, manipulating space-time to travel instantly is mathematically equivalent to traveling backward in time. If an alien machine could bypass time to get here instantly, they could theoretically send a signal into their own past and change history, because this creates massive paradoxes like the grandfather paradox. Many physicists believe the universe has built-in protections, like the laws of thermodynamics, that make bypassing time physically impossible, no matter how advanced the machine is. Okay, so, oh, that was a lot. But essentially what we're getting at is that the machine will have to be so complex to even do something in the first place. But it can't bypass time unless it accomplishes one of these theoretical things. Where some people may say, well, what's the problem? A wormhole, a worm, a bridge, Einstein-Rosen bridge, or relativity, or whatever the case may be. Like they could have done that. The problem is that why aren't there more? Why aren't there more? Why aren't there all their ships? If they were able to get through and do all of this, why didn't they send more ships, more and more and more? And we would have seen the whole civilization by now. What are they waiting for? But that's a scientific problem. You have to invoke something that we never seen before, physics, that like a wormhole just breaching space and then just like we don't even see those when they look into space, we don't see them. So you say that an alien did this, I don't know where you're getting that information from. So that's a scientific reason. Like the only way they would have been able to got here, came here by now, is through one of those theoretical wormholes. Like that's the only way, because otherwise, the closest galaxy or star or whatever that is actually makes sense would have taken them so long to get here. The people inside would have died, and then you have to incorporate some Star Trek stuff where it's like you got a hibernation sleep thing, but then even still, they would have to have made the ship be able to withstand like this super powerful force field that can withstand the dust going that fast through space. But even still, we don't even believe that they can go 10% the speed of light, because that's the quickest way. If they're not going 10% the speed of light, which is like ridiculous, then they would have been still traveling here. It's just, there's like so many hurdles. But that's it. That's the scientific. Now let's talk about the spiritual, because this right here is where I rest. This is where I am comfortable. Now, some people may say, like I said earlier, this will be, if aliens are real, this will be a huge problem for Christianity, for God and everything. He said, how? And this is where we go into it. Now, let's talk about why that is. So, the fact that it all boils down to is that it's about Christ. And I don't know if I said it before, but if God created aliens on other planets, everywhere else, every place he would have created, they would have also rebelled against him. Every place that God would have created, they would have sinned. If they were similar to us, free will creatures, the ability to love and choose him, that's the way God did it, they would have sinned. People are like, no, how do you know? That's just how it goes. If you make free will creatures with the ability to choose against him, that's just how it goes. It's gonna happen that way. They are going to sin. It happened to Lucifer and 1/3 of the angels who were in his presence, in his glory. So every creature he would have made that's lower than the angels would have also done it. And that's why we did it. So that creates a huge problem. Why? Check this out. Therefore, just as through one man sin entered the world, and death through sin, and thus death spread to all men because all sinned. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those who had not sinned according to the likeness of the same transgression of Adam, who is a type of him who was to come, But the free gift is not like the offense. For if by the one man's offense many died, much more the grace of God and the gift by the grace of the one man Jesus Christ abound to many. And the gift is not like that which came through the one who sinned, for the judgment which came from one offense resulted in condemnation, but the free gift which came from many offenses resulted in justification. For if by the one man's offense death reigned through the one, much more those who receive abundant grace and of the gift of righteousness will reign in life through the one, Jesus Christ. What is this getting at? This is so perfect, because what is God saying? He's saying, through one man, sin reigned through all mankind. But then it said, through one man's death, or through one man, Jesus Christ, all were redeemed, all were restored. So through one man, Adam, all failed. Through one man, all were redeemed. So then you start thinking, it's like, okay, if all those other people on the other planets sin just like we would have sinned, how did they get their sins repaid? How did they get their sins covered? And some philosophers and some other people would say, well, Christ's death could have also applied to them. What's the problem? Well, the problem is what the scripture says itself. It said Christ's death applied to all those who came through Adam. It literally did. It said, through one man all died, and through one man all were redeemed. It said this Christ was the second Adam. He was the perfect Adam. So his death applied to all those who came through Adam. Those other people did not come through Adam, so Jesus' death did not apply to them. It did not apply to those people on the aliens on the planets, because they didn't come through the loins of the sinful Adam. They didn't come through that loins. Jesus died. He's called a second Adam, so he died for Adamites. He died for people who came through Adam. And then you say, oh, well, maybe Jesus could have did the same thing on other places. Died for them too. Well, in Romans 6, it said that Jesus, once he died once and for all. That was it. And he never is going to die again. That's what Romans 6 says. It said he died once and for all. He's never going to die again. So I don't know how your aliens got your sins taken care of, how they got their hairs paid for. We're like, well, what if it didn't take a death and resurrection? Well, why did it take it on here, on earth? If it doesn't take, God is the same God who requires the same punishment of sin, death, because sin equals death, and the blood had to be shed. The things that we know about God, if they are true, which they are, that means if God required these things because they are truth and required, then that means they would have been required over there. Because God says it on here and in His Bible on earth, they have to be dealt with. Blood must be sacrificed and shed because of sin. So if that's the case, it would have had to be applied over there, because God is the same God who requires the same punishment for similar sins. And they would have committed the same similar sins as we. And that's only if, like I said, if they were created as beings for free will, free like emotions, and made in His image. So that's the biblical reason. So both the scientific reason and the biblical reason, aliens are highly improbable. So we see all this thing, then what is it then? What, like, you ain't tell me nothing. Why do we see all these things we're seeing? Could be two reasons. One, a lot could be crazy illusions with different texts that they're not telling us about. And then second, it could be different scenarios where, as Christ said, that you're going to see signs in the heavens. So they could also be demonic entities, also shape shifting into different things, as we know that these spirits have the ability to do. And then they have the ability to, they're so powerful, they can have the ability to create shapes in the sky to do this. We already know that's where they're dwelling. Satan is called the prince of the air. And we see all these UAPs and UFOs in the air. We don't see them landing. We always see them in the air. Yeah. So both the scientific and biblical reasonings come against the aliens. What are they taking so long for? Why we keep getting teased? Why we never seeing no Independence Day in real life? Because you're not going to see one. Well, Jonathan Owens here. Another episode of The Word Spoken. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back for something else good, Lord willing. Peace.